So please tell us, this is a unique show and it has been awarded many prizes and so on, but how did you come up with the idea?
I came up with it because I went on a silent retreat in upstate New York near where I live, and it was a sort of meditation, spirituality retreat, and I went with a friend of mine. I thought it was just going to be like a girls bonding experience with the two of us. I brought like wine and snacks and all kinds of stuff. And then when I got there, I realized it was this, basically.
Yes, because we talked before, and I also read that you said that most of this is true to some extent. You have observed.
Yes, yeah. I don't know if it's true in Sweden right now as much, but there's, a very big sort of new age spiritual movement in America of people going to these retreats and looking for some kind of way to live that sort of makes living less painful and agonizing. So a lot of the people in this play were sort of different characters that I saw on retreat. There's always like often like a guy who is trying to follow all the rules, and often like a yoga guy, and so a lot of that were characters that I observed and met. And the big question that is asked by the hat guy was a question that I observed somebody ask, and so I was just there like a little spy with my notebook the whole time.
Okay, and how was it? Because when you read the script, there's very little, as you notice, very little dialogue, but a lot of stage directions. How was it to write the play?
I partly wrote it because before I had written this, I was writing very dialogue-heavy plays with people just the whole time, and a lot of I thought I was like clever coming up with these different lines. I was kind of tired of that approach, so partly I wanted to kind of detox and get rid of the sound of my voice in my head. And so, and I always hated writing stage directions. So I was really interested in setting a challenge for myself of this isn't the way I normally write, but I'm just going to try to write tons and tons of stage directions. So the play is like 40 pages of stage directions mostly, and then the talks with the teacher. And we created it. I created it. I had a structure for the play. I knew it was going to be 5 days. I knew the basic events and the characters, but then I created it a lot with actors and watching them find their way through.
Yes, and you said previously today, you told a story about the bear.
Yeah, that came from, we went to workshop the play on Martha's Vineyard, which is a little island sort of off the coast of Massachusetts in America, and when we got to this center where we were going to workshop the play, it was me and the director and some actors, and they did a welcome lecture for us, and they said, be careful because there are bears in the area. How much information do we need to give them for them to follow what's happening? So it was really a complete experiment. We had no idea how people would receive it. And then it was very well received, so well received that it came back to New York after its first run, and then it had another run. And how have people responded? It's been really nice to see people sort of, what I always said when I was making this play was I wanted the audience to sort of be like detectives, going through and sort of finding clues of what might be happening. And so it's been nice to see audiences engage in that way with the play, and it's really fun to see all the way in Stockholm that it can speak to different audiences.
Yeah. You also said that you really wanted to push the silence. Why is that important to you?
I was just curious to see how long silence could sustain itself, and how well you could get to know these people without hearing them speak. I was really interested in the way we see each other and we assume that we know what kind of person somebody is just from looking at them. Like, oh, that's that guy, that's her, I know her story, I know his story. And so I was really interested in sort of breaking that apart and looking at how much we create stereotypes of each other without knowing each other's story at all. And then also how well you can know someone without knowing their biography. You know, like the difference between knowing a person and knowing their biographical history. And the difference between your story and just your presence and who you are as more of a just creature in the world.
Mm-hmm. I read somewhere not that long ago that the attention span apparently is diminishing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it used to be something around 12 seconds or so before and now it's down to 8. I might be wrong on the numbers, but it's decreasing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking in that era of diminishing attention span, was that in your mind at all? Like we need silence?
I think, definitely I think it's happening for the characters. You know, they're all like eating and doing their phones and trying to entertain themselves. And so I think that's part of the experience that the play is about, and also the experience of watching the play. You know, can you just breathe with the characters and absorb in silence? And one thing that a friend pointed out to me as I was writing this play was that when you go to the theater, you're always on a silent retreat of some kind, the audience is. And so having the audience share in the experience that the characters are having was important to me.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna actually open up for just one or two questions, because I heard some comments. If you have any questions out there, please ask, and you can ask them in Swedish if you want to. Does anyone have any question? When we have Bess here, you're more than welcome to ask that question now. Yes?
Which one of the characters are you?
Can't you tell?
But you did say, though, previously today, you did say that it started out as, actually you don't even know their names, right? But Alicia is her name.
Yeah.
But then you said something more.
Well, yeah, so when I started the play, I definitely felt like her. You know, I came with all my stuff, and then as I worked on the play, you know, you want to try to identify with each of the characters if you're going to write for them. And when I wrote the script, I wrote these giant long character descriptions, like their whole biography, just so the actors would have it. And then when I realized, once I sort of got near to finishing the play, was that I really felt like I was the teacher, because I was trying to lead the audience through an experience day by day and take them on this journey and hope that they observe silence, but they probably won't observe silence, and, you know, want them to be changed. And everything that the teacher wants is sort of the voice of the playwright too, I think, sort of guiding a group through an experience together. And the actors that I worked with, I don't know what it was like for these guys, but they really they were wonderful. They loved sort of discovering how to navigate the journey of the play, and I think partly because I gave them these giant biographies, so they know a lot about who they are, even though they don't get to talk. I think hopefully it helps them feel like they have a foundation, even though they don't get to talk really much. But the auditions were funny because nobody has any dialogue. So when we auditioned, when we held auditions in New York, we just had people come in, sit down, listen to a speech, and then leave.
We could have done that. We could have done that. We made it more difficult. We made it more difficult to ourselves. Any other questions? I saw another hand, but I don't know where it went. No, okay. Then I have a last question for you. Where are you heading now? You have so many things. I know you write both for film and TV and plays and a musical that was enormously well received. And you have 2 children.
Yeah.
And I can certainly see your need to go to a silent retreat.
Yeah. That's true.
Yes, but what's ahead?
I'm working on a new play, actually about, I'm trying to write a play about climate change. That's because it feels important, and there hasn't been a lot, at least in New York, talking about it. So I'm trying to figure, and in a way, partly inspired by the character's speech in this play, where he just hits on it a little. I'm kind of seeing if there's a way I can look at that and make it entertaining and also, resonate with what's happening right now.
And when do I get to read it? When do I get to read it?
I don't know. It takes me a while. And this one, with this one I had the luxury of saying, like, actors, you figure it out here. But now this one I have to actually write all the words, So it's going to take a while.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming here tonight. And you will also, of course, be here tomorrow when the real opening is. Thank you very much.